Welcome to video 5 of my Starting a WordPress Blog video series. In today's video, we will be talking about how you start configuring WordPress via the WordPress Dashboard. In our last video, I gave you a quick overview of some of the key functionality that you can find in the WordPress Dashboard. In this video, we will be extending that and using those functions to actually configure our blog. And the nice thing about this is you can come back to it at any time and tweak your settings or change your configuration and personalize your blog to any degree that you desire. So in today's video, we will be focusing on a couple of things. The settings page, which is the key settings for how you write content, how people comment on content, and just basic overall settings of your blog. We'll be talking about appearance, how you can customize your theme, change the header, add widgets so your sidebar is configured the way you want it to be. We'll add a menu structure and talk about a few other various tidbits that you might be interested in. And then lastly, we'll talk about the user page where you can change your user ID or create a new user ID, change the password for an existing ID, add other users if you so desire that you want to be able to access your blog. So let's get into it. So I'm logged into my WordPress blog, the dashboard, and the first thing we want to do to start configuring the settings is come down to our settings section down here, and you'll see when I highlight that, it brings up the different subsections within the settings page that you can configure. General, writing, reading, discussion, media, permalinks, and this limit login attempts, which is a plugin that has been previously installed for us as part of our default install. And we'll talk about this in a later video when we start talking about plugins, but there are a number of plugins that will add subsections within your settings section here to configure. What we want to do is start configuring each one of these areas. So let's just go to the General tab, and this is just basic information on your blog. And what you'll see here is if we start at the top, you can identify a title for your blog. And in our case, we are just going to make that our Writing a Triumph name. The tagline is all about what your site is about. Writing, let's just call it Daily Triumphs. And you can change this at any point in time. Your URL, you don't need to change that. Email address, you can change your email address. You can set up your site so anyone can register. We do not want to do that. English language is my default, and you can set your time zone here. Let's just find way too many time zones to go through here. If we scroll up the list, and in my case, New York, there it is. Jeez. You can set your date format, your time format, when you want your week to start, and save. So real basic information there. And then let's just work down our list here. Writing. So this is how you go about writing posts for your blog. If you want to convert your emoticons that you enter to graphics, you can select that. You can set a default post category, a default post format, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. Usually you don't really need to change anything here. Yeah, you'll leave everything as standard here. So we didn't change anything, so nothing to change there. Reading, this is the way your blog will appear, and we'll focus more on that in the appearance section up here when we get to that. So just leave this as such. Discussion settings are around what happens when someone comments on your site. So you can, for example, force a comment author to leave their name and email. You can automatically close comments on articles that are greater than X number of days. Enable threaded comments. You can ask to be notified whenever anyone leaves a comment. This is kind of neat. If you get a lot of spam on your site, you can hold a comment if it contains links or certain keywords, blacklist certain things, set your default avatar for folks that are leaving comments. Not a lot that you need to change here. Media, again, nothing really to change. Here you can leave everything at the default. And permalinks. This is probably the most important section that you want to update. This is how your URL will look when you add a post to your blog. And this is extremely important when it comes to search engine optimization. You can, if you look here, some of the default settings, when you add a new post, it will show up as writingatriumph.com /?p=123. Not very intuitive. You can add a default day and name to your post, month and name, some archive. What I like to do, and what seems to have where I seem to have a lot of luck with search engine optimization, is I want to just add the post name, which means when I create a new post for my blog, I give it a name here. So it looks like this, and that's how I want it to appear in my URL. And the more descriptive name you give it here, and we'll talk about this when we create a new post, the easier it is for the search engines to rank your content appropriately. So I would highly suggest keeping it as post name, or month and post name, or day and post name. So month is year and month, day is year, month, and date. Either one of these three are usually your best option for search engine optimization. And that's really all we need to do from a settings page. So now let's talk about appearances. And here within appearance, you can set your themes, you can customize things, you can add widgets, your menus, your header, and your header information. So we will start with our theme, and the active theme in our case that is part of the default install is the WordPress 2017 theme. And you'll see that WordPress actually installed a 2015 theme as well as a 2016 theme for us. And you can activate any one of these, or you can add a new theme. And remember, the theme is how your blog is displayed. So if I want to see what my 2015 theme will look like, it has this live preview option here. I can click that and it will generate what my blog will look like using that theme. And it gives you some basic information. You can look at it whether you're on a desktop, a tablet, or a phone. And you can close this out here. You have the ability to add a new theme. So if you want to click on this, you can see a number of different themes that are available to you to configure. And you have filters up here so you can see what the more popular themes are. If you want to do a search on newsy type themes, you can just select news. And that didn't work. Let's try that again. Let's learn how to spell. And you can see different themes that are associated with news. So lots and lots of themes to choose from. In our case here, I want to just go with a default theme. I'm not a fan of the 2017 theme. I kind of like the 2016 theme since it has a sidebar over here. And I'm just going to activate that. And you can see it is now the active theme for our blog. Now I want to customize it, and you can click on the customize button here, or you can come down to here, this subsection to customize. And this will give you the basic look and feel for what that theme will be on your blog. And each of these different sections will allow you to further configure that theme. So again, you see our site title, our tagline, whether you want to display that site title or tagline. You can add a small site icon to your site if you want. Go back here. We can add some colors to our site, and in this case, WordPress gives us the ability to add a different color scheme to our site. And in our case, I'm going to go with the gray background. How about that? And you can change your link colors, your background colors, your text colors, whatever you want. Header image, if you have an image you want to add for your header, which will take the place of this information up here, you can add a image. In our case, I don't want to do that right now. I can add a background image, menus, widgets. If you're comfortable coding CSS, you can add all that. So lots of really cool information here. We're going to set our menu in a different section as well as our widgets in a different section here. So once you've made some basic updates, you want to save and publish. Close this out. And you can see over here under the appearance section, we have the ability to add widgets, menus, and header information here as well. So let's talk a little bit about widgets. Your widgets are the information that typically will appear over here in your right sidebar. So if we select widgets, there are a number of widgets that are available for you to configure things. And you can add them to your sidebar, the bottom of your content, and there's also another section for bottom of your content here. Each theme has different places for you to configure your widgets. So in this case, some themes have multiple sidebars. Some themes will let you configure your footer information. So this area here is specific to the theme that we've selected. And you'll see there is some defaults that WordPress gave us to add information to our sidebar. And in this case, meta, if you don't want something, you just drag it off. Recent comments, I don't want. So we have a search bar, and you can give it a title if you want. Say search, and save it. Recent posts, you can say I want to show my 3 most recent posts with maybe a post date. My archives, I don't want archives, and my categories. Whether you want to display them as a drop-down, show how many posts are within each category, if you want a hierarchy to be displayed. So it's really kind of slick. You have a lot of ability to tweak things here. And if you want to see what it looks like based on what we just did here, you can manage with live preview. And you'll see here's our search bar and here's our category information. And the reason it did not display any recent posts is because we do not have any posts to display. Header information, if we click on this, again takes us back to the configuration area that we saw earlier. And then our menu structure. So for the menu section, this is really going to be hard for us to configure right now because we don't have any information on our blog. We don't have any posts, we don't have any pages created, we don't have any categories created. And actually, let's do this. Why don't we go to categories, and we are going to add some miscellaneous categories to our blog. We'll add a test category. Let's add a post category, and let's add a name category. Just some examples here. And by adding these categories, what this allows us to do is when we create a blog post, we can categorize the information on our blog. So your blog is, in theory, covering a variety of different topics, and you can categorize those topics. And in our case, we're saying we have a name category, a post category, and a test category. And if we go back to our appearance and go to the menu structure, I want to add we'll just call this menu. And if I click on view all, I'll see the name, post, and test categories that I created. And actually, it's going to want me to create the menu first. So when I create the menu, I can come back down here. Actually, first off, I want to create a primary menu. Come back down here, and I want to add each of these to my menu. And I can reorder them if I want. Save that menu. And if I go back to take a look at my blog, I can see my name, my test, and my post categories all up here. And what this gives you the ability to do is to click on this, and you'll see the URL structure changed up here, and nothing's found because I don't have any posts created in that category. And the WordPress theme determines where your menu structure goes. So in this case, the theme I'm going with has them over here on the far right. But this gives you some basic understanding of how we can go about creating menu categories for our blog. And if we go back to the dashboard, under appearance, let's go back to menus. Last thing I wanted to touch on is users. And if you click on the all users, you'll see here is my primary administrator name, rat-admin, and it is an administrator role. And if you want, you can add a new username, and this will give others the ability to add content. Some folks have multiple people that work on their blogs. Maybe certain folks are administrators, certain folks can create content, and from all that, you can control, from this page here, you can control what people can do. So if I wanted to add another person that can have author access, meaning create new posts, I can create a username here called test, give it an email, and we can give it a password and add this new user. And you'll see here from your user administration page here, you can control who has access to your account. In this case here, we just want to get rid of it, delete it. And I'm back to my normal admin name here. In most cases, you're only going to have one user associated with your account. So those are the key things that I wanted to cover as part of the configuration of your blog. Really pretty simplistic. You can go back to this at any point in time, configure things. If you want to change your menu structure, if you want to add a new theme to your blog, you can go out there, add a new theme. Any posts, any content that you've previously created will be associated with that new theme. So this gives you the ability to tweak things to your heart's content at any point in time down the road. But it should give you enough to get yourself started at this point. Again, feel free to subscribe. I will be posting further content on this. And in our next video, we will actually be getting into configuring some additional plugins for our blog. And we'll explain what a plugin is, what the key plugins you should have for your blog, and how you can go about configuring those.